Cyberpunk 2077 3 years later. So Cyberpunk is popular again due to the release of the Phantom Liberty DLC and the 2.0 free update. The reviews are incredibly positive for the most part, but let's cut the bollocks. I do feel there is something huge which needs to be addressed, which we will do in this video, and we did take a look at all the changes made in the 2.0 free update in my last video, which I would recommend watching after this one. But let's dive into the facts and whether this game is truly worth playing or not, whilst addressing things that seem to be forgotten about. Just before we jump in, here is a quick word from my sponsor. If you would like to own a RGH Xbox 360 that allows you to do the impossible, for example, play emulators such as SNES, PlayStation 1, Sega Mega Drive, Nintendo DS, Game Boy, and the list goes on, mess around with friends in online lobbies, and so much more, just click the link below to the worldwide leading supplier of RGH Xboxes, the Console Warehouse, and browse their incredible collection and find out more on what they can do. This game came out 3 years ago and it released an absolute mess and was a huge letdown, as we all know. I don't want to dwell on this too much because we all know about that, but these 9 out of 10 reviews that have recently come out seem to have missed the part where the game released 3 years ago and only now it's becoming something that might be remotely worth playing. 3 years. It's taken this damn long to update a game to a standard that 60% of players are satisfied with. Now I'll be honest, throwing out 60% is just an educated guess, and it could be more than that or less. But if you do a bit of digging, there is still a lot of players who are disappointed even now with the current state of the game despite all of these positive reviews. So why is there so many more players now all of a sudden enjoying the game? There could be a few reasons for this, but I think the main reason is the big majority of players who are now enjoying the game have only just bought it and weren't one of the suckers like me who pre-ordered this game back in 2020. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but what I'm concerned about is what if this becomes the standard for games releasing in the future? So you see some gameplay trailers and are convinced through the marketing that the game is going to be absolutely amazing. You pay your damn $70 to pre-order it, it comes out and it sucks a dog's cock. But don't worry, this game was released with the future in mind. Expect yearly updates that will eventually achieve everything we have promised. But for now, give me your damn money first and you'll get the game you want in a few years' time. Is that how it's going to be then, is it? What happened to games releasing as the final product? It absolutely sucks. I also think the fact this game now costs half the price when compared to launch also increases the positive comments by players, and is likely another reason why the critical reviews of this game have eased off a bit. Essentially, you are paying half the money for a much more enjoyable and playable game, compared to the suckers like me who paid $70 back in 2020 or 2021 for a piece of dog piss. Now, to add insult to injury, I've even seen many clips on Twitter that have the cheek to compare Cyberpunk to Starfield and how Cyberpunk is much better. Do these people not realise they are comparing a game that was released 3 years ago with dozens of minor updates since, with a game that has literally only released this month? And these comments literally only bitch about the loading screens and how Cyberpunk has instant loading around the entire map with no waiting in between. Yes, I do think the loading screens in Starfield are annoying, but with an SSD, they are really quick for the most part. The map in Cyberpunk is tiny in comparison, so to even compare would be absolutely ridiculous. Furthermore, this is the only claim that makes Cyberpunk so much better than Starfield. Piss off. It's not a problem if you enjoy Cyberpunk, but please don't compare it with Starfield. It's just absolutely outrageous. And to be fair, the guy that made the tweet isn't attacking Starfield, it's mainly the comments within the tweet that are. But if we did decide to compare these games for whatever reason, and made it as fair as possible by comparing the initial 2020 release of Cyberpunk with the launch version of Starfield we have right now, Starfield pisses all over Cyberpunk. And don't worry, I will be making an honest video on Starfield very soon, which will discuss whether it's worth playing or not. So is Cyberpunk 2077 finally worth playing 3 years later? Let's be honest, it's definitely improved over the years. You can't take that away from them. For those who haven't bought it previously, back in 2020 or 2021 like me, Cyberpunk will be enjoyable. For those who have played it since day one, it's incredibly frustrating that it's taken this long. And let's be real here, the game still isn't polished. Glaring issues such as bugs with the physics, terrible traffic density, which makes the game feel empty, even on PC, and the piss poor AI still exists. So there's still problems in the game, despite it being so long. And yes, there are other YouTubers and streamers that fully acknowledge that it's taken 3 years to get to this point where it is more enjoyable to play. But these really positive reviews really should take into account how long the game's been out for before giving it a 9 out of 10, which literally sets an example for games in the future. It essentially allows games to be released at full price, completely unfinished, which could become the norm. But hopefully it won't, as long as people speak out about it and maybe just stop pre-ordering games full stop, which is something I have done. It's sad to see, but it looks like you have no choice but to actually see the game once it's fully released before making a pre-order now, so you don't risk spending a lot of money on a game that comes out unfinished and all the promises are nowhere to be seen. It was never like this back in the day. But do let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I would love to see, as everyone has their own opinion of course, and if you would like to see my honest breakdown of the 2.0 free update on Cyberpunk and whether it makes a big enough improvement or not, just go ahead and click the card on screen. Thank you guys for watching as always, and have a great rest of your day.